There was a time, thousands of years before Afif, when the world belonged to kings. Kings who ruled with fear. Kings who ruled with war. Kings who burned cities, killed families, and forced people to bow before them. But among all those kings, there was one man who was different. His name was Khaizar. Back then, Khaizar was not an emperor. He was only the king of a small kingdom, a kingdom surrounded by larger lands. A kingdom too small to survive in a world filled with greed. But even though his kingdom was small, his people loved him. Because Khaizar did not rule them with fear. He ruled them with kindness. At night, he would walk through the streets in disguise. He would sit beside farmers and listen to their pain. He would eat with soldiers beside campfires. He would visit wounded men and ask if their families had enough food. People did not see him as just a king. They saw him as one of their own. And beside him was Queen Liana, the woman people called the soul of the kingdom. When Khaizar was angry, she calmed him. When soldiers returned injured from war, she cared for them herself. When poor families had nothing to eat, food would quietly appear at their doors. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Liana looked at Khaizar and smiled. "You are not like other kings, and that is why people love you." But the world does not let good men live in peace for long. One day, a messenger arrived. A powerful neighboring king was marching toward Khaizar's kingdom with a massive army. Thousands of soldiers, horses, weapons, war banners. Fear spread through the city. The ministers begged Khaizar to surrender. The generals said there was no way to win. That night, Khaizar stood alone on the palace balcony. In the distance, he could see fires burning. He could hear the fear in the streets below. And above him, the sky felt strangely silent. Then, suddenly, a blue light appeared. Khaizar stepped back. His hand moved to his sword. The light slowly grew brighter, and from inside that blue light, a figure appeared. A figure that looked human, but was not human. Its body glowed with blue energy. Its eyes were filled with sadness. Khaizar pulled out his sword. "Who are you?" The being looked at him and quietly said, "I come from a world that no longer exists." Its name was Ayel. Ayel spoke about darkness beyond the stars, about worlds destroyed by war, about a terrible enemy named Zyrok, an enemy so powerful that one day even Earth would not be safe. Ayel said the only way to protect the planet was to build a shield powerful enough to hide Earth itself. But Ayel could not do it alone. He needed one human, one man willing to sacrifice everything. And that man was Khaizar. Khaizar agreed, and in return, Ayel promised to help him survive the war. The next morning, the battle began. Thousands of soldiers crashed into each other. Fire covered the battlefield. Steel clashed. Men screamed. Dust filled the air. But Ayel did not turn Khaizar into a god. He only gave him more courage, more speed, sharper instincts. Khaizar still felt pain. He still bled. He still fell. But every time he fell, he stood back up. He looked at his soldiers and shouted, "If we lose today, then our children will live as slaves." And with that, he charged forward, beside his people, beside his soldiers. And somehow, against all odds, Khaizar won. The enemy king fell to his knees. Everyone expected Khaizar to kill him. But Khaizar lowered his sword and said, "Your people obey you because they fear you. My people follow me because they love me." From today, your kingdom will stand with mine, not against it." That was the beginning of Khaizar's empire. Years passed. Kingdom after kingdom joined him. Some followed him because of his strength. Others followed him because of his justice. Eventually, Khaizar became the first emperor of Earth. But nobody knew his greatest secret. Late at night, blue light would appear, and Khaizar would disappear. Before sunrise, he would return. People whispered that the emperor spoke with gods, but the truth was far stranger. Ayel would take Khaizar to a hidden island in the middle of the ocean, an island hidden behind a wall of fog. Beneath that island was a giant cave, and inside that cave, they were building the shield core. Every night, Khaizar would cut his hand and let a few drops of blood fall into the core. Little by little, the shield began to awaken. One night, Ayel looked at him and said, "This shield is not made of stone. It is made of your blood, your sacrifice, and your faith." But as Khaizar's empire grew, so did jealousy. His closest men began to fear him. The minister believed Khaizar had some secret power. The general believed he was using something unnatural. And soon, they began to watch him, to follow him, to spy on him. One night, the minister overheard Khaizar speaking with Ayel. He heard them talking about the shield, about Zyrok, about the hidden island. And from that moment, the betrayal began. The minister secretly made a deal with another ruler. The general secretly prepared soldiers. And one night, while Ayel was away on the island, the palace was attacked. Fire spread through the halls. Smoke covered the sky. Soldiers ran through the palace. People screamed. Khaizar fought alone. This time, Ayel was not there. This time, he had no extra strength, no blue light, no help. Only his sword and his will. He fought the general inside the burning throne room. He was exhausted. He could barely stand, but he kept fighting. Because he knew, if he lost, the world would lose with him. Then, suddenly, the minister stabbed him from behind. Khaizar collapsed. The minister shouted, "Kill the emperor's children!" Queen Liana grabbed her youngest child. She ran through the palace halls. Smoke filled the air. Fire glowed behind her. Outside the palace, a loyal rider was waiting beside his horse. Liana placed gold in his hands. Then she gave him the child. Tears filled her eyes. Fear filled her voice. "Go as far away as you can, and never let anyone know who he really is." The rider disappeared into the darkness, and Liana ran in the opposite direction, so the soldiers would follow her instead. And in the end, they did. Back inside the palace, Khaizar was still alive, weak, exhausted, barely breathing. The minister and the general demanded to know where the secret power was hidden, but Khaizar said nothing. Then suddenly, blue light filled the room. Ayel had returned. He saw the broken throne room, the smoke, the destruction. He saw Khaizar on the floor. He saw Queen Liana nearby. And for the first time, Ayel broke. His sadness turned into rage. Blue energy exploded around him. The walls shook. The palace trembled. He wanted to destroy everything, everyone. But Khaizar reached out and grabbed Ayel's hand. "They are not your enemy. Save the earth." And then Khaizar died. Ayel stood there in silence, unable to move, unable to speak. Then he carried Khaizar's body away, back to the hidden island, back to the cave beneath the sea. And there, Ayel completed the shield. He hid the island behind the wall of fog.
He hid himself from the world. And from that day on, he protected Earth from the shadows. Khaizar's empire was destroyed. History forgot his name. People believed he was only a legend. But his bloodline survived. And thousands of years later, the final heir of that bloodline would be a fief.